What's poppin', y'all? Who you gonna call? Tyler. Tyler's here, and today we're taking a look at Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, the movie review. Today we're taking a look at what I think of this new Frozen Empire movie, which is technically the 7th Ghostbuster movie, the original two, the 5th Ghostbuster movie to ever exist. We have the original two, which came out in 1990. Then we had a remake in 2016, where it was an all-female cast, and I'm gonna be honest, I quite liked that one. And then we had one a couple of years back, and now we have this one, which is Frozen Empire. So we have Mike Wheeler from Stranger Things here, and we have Paul Rudd, also known as Ant-Man, making his reappearance in this Frozen Empire movie. The OG Ghostbusters have a much bigger role in this one, and I would have liked the female Ghostbusters to have made at least a cameo here, because, again, I was actually one of the few that liked the 2016 one. However, as per usual here, we need to go into what Google has to say. So Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is a 2004 comedy fantasy movie, which is an hour and 56 minutes long. It is a 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb, a 43% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 44% on Metric. The Spengler family returns to the iconic New York City firehouse, where the original Ghostbusters have taken ghostbusting to the next level, when they discover an ancient artifact that unleashes an evil force. Ghostbusters, new and old, must unite to protect their home and save the world from a second ice age. So to be fair, I do agree with that. I do agree with that sort of lowdown, but I'm going to go a little bit more in-depth, but not too in-depth so that it stops you from watching the movie for yourself. So the movie starts off with them chasing a giant lizard, giant eel, floating around New York City. They are destroying half of New York City trying to take this thing down. It is still a day saved, however, it is like an Avengers situation where they destroy half the city trying to save the day. And they get benched, or they get a warning, and the daughter gets benched. She's no longer allowed to be a Ghostbuster because she is a child worker and she is not getting paid. So it is, very, very wrong what's happening to them. And they try and make a joke out of it, but it is a very serious topic. We then have them traveling along and going to a lab where the OG Ghostbusters are still conducting experiments and they have a load of ghosts in confinement. We then have the girl getting angry that she isn't a Ghostbuster anymore and going to sort of play chess in the park with a ghost. And that ghost is already got me with my spider sense, my Tyler tingle, my Tyler sense, and is like, hey, you're suspicious, what the fuck you doing? And turns out she was suspicious, and she sets up the girl for failure, and she basically does a lot wrong. She tries to be a Ghostbuster on her own, doesn't work, ends up getting her arrested. She then also decides to become a ghost and leave her human body. Don't have a clue why. And then there's some weird bullshit where the big bad ghost is like, hey, I can only control, human ghosts, even though this fire lady is a human ghost, and I don't know why she can't control her. But anyway, then this dude sells an orb, which the monster in the orb is the one that mind controls her. And the dude that sells the orb is supposed to be a fire master. So, hi, Zuko here. I need to regain my honor. And he was fucking firebending left, right, and center, ready to flame on this bitch, this frozen monster. And what else happened? Mike was, here, being an 18-year-old. Finn Wolfhard, constantly bragging about being an 18-year-old. He formed a relationship with Slimer. His sort of girlfriend situation with Lucky didn't really develop from the first one here, and it did feel kind of forced. And they spent, zero time together. And they saved the day. Well, after freezing. They were freezing to death, and they managed to set fire and stop him and save the day with the help of the OG Ghostbusters, who have been in the film pretty much the entire time. Again, I feel like this movie had way too many characters. And I did do a very brief overview of the movie, but I didn't want to spoil it for you guys. I did want you to go watch it for yourself. But again, it had way too many characters to balance, I do believe. Podcast was such a funny character in the first one, or this first one out of the trilogy, I do believe that they're making. And he felt very much benched, and I didn't see him that all too much, and he wasn't as funny as he was in the original movie. I don't know if it was his delivery, I don't know if it was because he got older and was having a Stranger Things type situation, or what, but he just wasn't as good as he was in the first movie. Same with the relationship between Mike and Lucky. Those two just didn't get on. They didn't have the chemistry anymore. They sort of felt very stale and boring towards each other. They didn't sort of have that connection that they did in the first one. And the introduction of the OG Ghostbusters, Bill Murray felt forced. He wasn't here for the entire movie, but he felt forced when he was here. And he just came and go without any explanation. Like, no one invited him, no one called him. He just appeared and disappeared at will. So I don't believe they managed to pay his budget to get him on screen all that too much. But other than that, there wasn't really much else with the actors. They were all pretty good actors, as per usual. They're all pretty big-name actors. Except for the young girl. She felt very stale, but I think that's supposed to be her character. She's supposed to feel very robotic and nerdy. But that's just how I felt with the character. And it's very similar to how she was in the first one. Paul Rudd, absolute comedy genius as always. I fucking love that guy. And he does not look like he's in his 50s. I'm going to be honest. He looks way younger. And the CGI was actually decent. I liked the CGI in this one. It looked good. It looked really fucking good. And I liked the sort of ghosts, all the different ghost designs. And this movie did have me questioning quite a lot of things. I was questioning what makes a ghost, what makes the form you take as a ghost, because there's humans, there's demons, there's monsters, and there's also there's fire people as well. There's like magic and voodoo also now in the Ghostbusters universe, so I don't really know what's off the table and what's on the table. But again, like, what makes a ghost? Like, I know it's like ectoplasm and stuff, but like, what chooses the form they take? I was explained by the movie that it's like a has-been hotel situation with the form you died makes the form you come back as. But then that leads the question with what killed Slimer? What was Slimer and how did he die? And why did someone that was killed, in quotation marks, killed by an eel turn into an eel? Because I don't kind of get that scenario. I don't get why that giant eel would have been a human that was killed by an eel. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't get that. Why would you turn into something that killed you? Because the girl, like the ghost girl that betrayed our main character, she didn't turn into fire. She just had fire on her. And the reason she had fire on her was because she died in a fire. So, like, what makes your ghostly form? What makes your ghostly spirit? And even the movie didn't know, because when they were asking some of the OG Ghostbusters what they would want to be as a ghost in the movie universe, they said they had no idea what they'd turn into, and that mystery always excited them. So there is no real explanation to why these ghosts look like they do, and like what makes a monster ghost and what makes a humanoid ghost. It is just ghost in this world. And I kind of wish they thought about that a little bit more, especially seeing as how they touched on it in this movie. They could have made a really creative answer here, but they just didn't. And they tried to get away with it, and they didn't think I would question it. I think that is rude. However, I actually quite liked this movie. I would watch this movie again. It did feel like the OG Ghostbusters, like back in the day. It wasn't as good as the OG Ghostbusters, but it did have the sort of remnants of the OG Ghostbusters and had the excitement, the mystery. However, the foreshadowing was very pushed and was very forced, with the ball constantly zooming in on it, constantly sort of putting it in the main frame, constantly focus on it when it was in the background. It was just always in your face, and I didn't really like that. But, you know, it kind of can be looked over and forgiven. I am going to give this movie a solid 5 out of 10, because again, it was a good movie. I'm glad that I watched it, but it's not as good as the original Ghostbusters, so I have to sort of give it a middle ground movie. But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed this YouTube video. See you all next one. Hope you all have an excellent day, and goodbye. Stay home and stay safe.